Hello everybody, good evening and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news, and I suppose, there's always a lot to talk about. There's always a lot coming in, and in the last few hours there has been a lot coming in relation to the sale. You'll notice on the thumbnail it says more debt. Really interesting piece coming in from, I think, Mark Douglas of MBAPPE. We'll talk about his comments in a moment. Basically, opening up why QATAR are really getting confident. We'll also be clearing up this story from last night that I feel that some people feel that they were almost fooled last night. I'm not going to acknowledge that. I don't think we were fooled last night. I know people are saying it came from some Welsh fake Twitter account that went to QATAR and sparked the stock price to go up. I don't actually agree with that, and I'll tell you why in a minute. The share price is still around $23 per share. I thought realistically it would stabilize around $21, so it's still $2 up from where I thought it would be. There is still a lot of positivity. It's still being maintained. So yeah, let's get into it. Also, Kylian MBAPPE. I mean, really interesting things coming about him. The goalkeeper situation as well. There's just the stories just come out from the Telegraph actually talking about David Raya to Manchester United. Sommer's back on the equation. Of course, he was on loan at Bayern Munich. Really interesting actually. Really interesting. You might have heard that Alex Crook from TalkSport, who I've not spoken to in quite a while actually, he actually this evening said that David De Gea is holding up the sale of Dean Henderson as he ponders whether to go to Saudi Arabia or sign the contract with Manchester United. I said that on the morning show. So, you know, it's always good when you hear other journalists talking about the information that you've got. And that is true. Like there's people out there that think Ten Hag has decided he wants a sweeper keeper and he's going to get rid of De Gea. De Gea's holding it up. He's thinking whether it's worth all the shit next season, probably. And it's holding up the Dean Henderson sale as well. But look, let's fly straight into it. So, yeah, stock price watch, $23 exactly at the moment for Manchester United. Of interest, for most of the last month, we've been at $18 a share. So it's gone up by $5 a share and it's stabilising. In fact, it's moving up again. So why is that? Well, look, I'm gonna quote. I want to get into this article I spoke about in MBAPPE, which I think is fantastic, and it's about the debt, and it's about why there is a lot of confidence around QATAR. But let's have a snapshot of what's going on. But before we get into that, you might see Goldbridge in his tight-fitting Boohoo Man fitness top. I have just been out in the garden kicking the ball about, not for a run, I'm not sweaty. We're sponsored by Boohoo Man on the show today, which means you're going to get a massive 40% off. But first of all, what is Boohoo Man? You can use the code Goldbridge, get 40% off at checkout. You can get lovely tops like this for your gym, running, or just relaxing. You know, they've got chill wear as well, hoodies, tracksuit bottoms, stuff to go out in. 40% off with the code Goldbridge. Boohoo Man, fantastic prices anyway, and then 40% off with the code Goldbridge. You can scan the QR code next to me or go through the link in the description. But as always with Boohoo Man, they're also going to give you a bit of trivia, and today is going to be no different. So guess who I am? I was born on the 5th of March 1993 in Brazil. I started my professional football career in Atlético Mineiro in 2009. In 2013, I made a significant move to Shakhtar Donetsk. In June 2018, I moved to Manchester United for a ridiculously reported fee of £47 million. And despite being a defensive midfielder, I've contributed with important goals and assists. I was part of the United team that won the League Cup during the 22-23 season and also finished as runner-up in the Copa America in 2021 with Brazil. Who am I? It's half of McFred. It's Fred. Of course it is. And well done everyone in the chat who got that. Big shout out to Boohoo Man as per usual. Don't forget you can get 40% off and the link is in the description with the code Goldbridge, Legends Boohoo Man, and as you can see, I'm wearing one of their tops here tonight, which is just really quite nice and snug. Lots of people with Fred. Some people saying, "Oh my God, not Sommer." And we've already had a super chat. How do I check the stock exchange? Says John. Reminds me at the end of the show. I've got it live. $22.99 at the moment. Let's get into the show. So I feel we should do a bit of a stopgap of what's going on, and I'm going to call on Sky Sports Cave here. He was on Sky about 20 minutes ago. I saw a clip, and basically what he said is, Mark, I'm interested unrelated to Evan, and he said United is his target, says Killian Ferguson. Yeah, I would love him at Manchester United. It would be great. So basically what Sky Cave said on Sky Sports was that there was a lot of confidence last night as we all reacted to it. Stock ticker on the overlay soon, says Lee. Yeah, we should do that. And yeah, it's effectively what he was saying is that there's no update, and there's not expected to be any major update anytime soon around the sale of Manchester United. Obviously, Manchester United fans want there to be an update, but there's not likely to be an update anytime soon. And there's, basically, it's everyone's saying that they've heard nothing at the moment, and that's basically the line at the moment. We need Qatar just to be able to compete for the title in the Premier League. Is it going to reconnect? Yes. Okay. Let me know in the chat. Refresh. Let me know, because I won't carry on with the conversation until I know. Are you back? We're back. Okay, we're back. Okay, so I'll carry on with what I said there. So effectively, what happened is that the United last night, everyone was saying nothing, and everyone is still saying nothing. Effectively, there was a piece in The Athletic that said what caused all of last night was some Welsh fake account putting some story out that Qatar had won, and then a Qatari outlet basically came out and said that it was true, but they were just reporting on somebody else, and then that kick-started the share price. And that's basically what everybody is saying. That's where basically everybody is saying it's all coming from. Ryan, welcome to Members Club, and Kazuki, welcome to Members Club. Well, this is where I want to bring in an interesting piece. So this is by Mark Douglas, who is the Northern football correspondent for iPaper Sport, and he has basically said this evening, and I think this is really interesting, because he said optimism around the Qatari bid is based partly on the feeling that Sir Jim Ratcliffe and his proposal, which would allow some of the Glazer siblings to retain a minority stake, has proved complicated to thrash out over the weeks of a detailed talks. We already predicted this. All of us predicted this. So basically, Sir Jim was buying 69%, then it was 60%, then it was 49%, then it was 51%, and we think it's 60% again. And he's going to keep the Glazers. And everybody knew this just was going to be an issue, and apparently it is an issue. It's a very complicated deal to do, and this is why Qatar feel that they are confident, because they're just going to buy the whole club. Radcliffe's offer also, Mark Douglas goes on to say, Radcliffe's offer would use loans and bonds drawn down from some of the biggest banks in the world to fund this purchase of Manchester United. And with the debt market currently a nightmare, in the words of one source, it is far from a straightforward process. Sheikh Jassim's bid team is desperate for a swift conclusion to the process, because the Premier League approval could take another 2 to 3 weeks even after a sale is agreed. So look, this is significant, and this could be a reason. I just do not believe that the share price has risen for 24 hours off the back of some fake Twitter account. We all know there's loads of fake Twitter accounts. They set up a Twitter account, they pay for the blue tick, they get a picture of something that looks like it's from the Middle East, and then they just change their translate to that language. And then they start pretending that they're some sort of journalist from that area, and idiots fall for everything. I mean, I know transfer ITKs that you don't hear about all season. They reappear every summer transfer window, and people believe them. It's infuriatingly thick. So, yes, we all know that there are liars and fakes out there, but this has been going on for 24 hours now. I don't believe that the share price specifically, or the optimism from Qatar, is all because of a fake account from Wales who's pretending that they're a journalist from Qatar. I don't agree with that. And I'll tell you for free, that's not the information I had this afternoon when I was speaking to somebody. They said, look, listen to the show this morning. What you said about 2-0 up with 10 minutes to go is probably quite accurate. Qatar feel that they're winning this game. It's not over yet, but they're feeling that they're winning this game. And a lot of people are feeling that as well, and that's leaking into the market. The haters want to say, well, no, the stock price has gone up because of some fake tweet last night. It's not. That's not what it's all about. There's a lot more to it than that. And I think what Mark Douglas is saying is absolutely spot on. The reality is that the deal that Sir Jim is trying to construct is ridiculously difficult. As the thumbnail says, it's more debt. He is borrowing money to buy 60%. Al Thani's just going to pay 100% straight up. He's borrowing money to buy 60%. He's not clearing the debt that's already there. He's keeping the Glazers and he's borrowing money from numerous different places. I mean, this is like trying to buy half of your dream house, but you're borrowing money from HSBC, from Barclays, from the Co-op. You know, it is the mess that it is perceived to be. And I don't know why pro-Sir Jim supporters can't see it for what it is. It is a mess. Ryan says, Ryan's welcome to Members Club. What do you think of United to try and for Odd Black? Says Kazup. We're going to talk about goalkeepers in a little bit. Any chance Radcliffe is working for or with the Glazers to bump up the price from the beginning, says JB. No, I don't think so. I can't wait for Qatar to take over, says Stephen. This needs to be quick for everything else to process, says Stephen. And Adrian, welcome to the Members Club. No, I don't think that Sir Jim Radcliffe is working with the Glazers because a year ago he was trying to buy Chelsea. But what I do think, and I don't think it gets reported enough in this country because there's too many journalists and people out there who are pro the Ineos bid, that they will not talk about it the way we will talk about it as fans, in the sense that everybody has always said, and Sir Jim's team could come out and refute this quite simply. It's very easy to come out and refute it, and what I mean by that is they could come out and deny it. But we've always known, since January or February, which feels a long time ago now, we've always known that the bid from Ineos and Sir Jim does not clear the current debt that United have, which is over £500 million. And it also involves borrowing money, but Ineos will take the debt on. How can anybody be pro this bid? I don't know. Let us know in the chat. How can anybody be pro Sir Jim Radcliffe when he's only buying 60%, he's keeping the debt, he's borrowing to get the 60%, and he's keeping the Glazers? I don't know how anybody can be pro that. And on top of that, you've got the other 30%, which is owned by the New York Stock Exchange, saying, how are you paying the Glazers up, but you're not paying us? You've got the Glazers saying, well, what percentage do we get power? Are we still on the board? He's borrowing money for the 60%. I mean, it's just a bloody mess. You know, when you break it down, you've got 30% of the New York Stock Exchange saying we're going to challenge this because we're not getting a payout if Sir Jim buys it. You've got the Glazers saying, yeah, we will sell you 60%, but how much do we keep and what power do we have? You've got Sir Jim keeping the debt and then borrowing to pay the 60%. I mean, that's just a bloody... I tell you what, I don't know why the Premier League aren't looking at this. You know, everyone says, oh, Qatar can't own Manchester United. The Premier League should be looking at that deal. To me, it looks bloody... You know, I'm surprised Sir Jim's not riding into town on a horse with a Stetson and a couple of spurs on the back of his boots, because it looks like a cowboy job to me. But, you know. Hi, Mark. 50-50 on MBAPPE. He could bring the same impact as Haaland for City, or could end up bringing back toxicity to the dressing room. I love the show, says Daniel. So do I. A friend of mine says he's pro-Ratcliffe because of Qatar's pure human rights record. Well, I get that, Raz. I do get that. You know, I'm not going to disrespect somebody's moral stance. That's absolutely fine, but that's a moral stance. That's nothing to do with Manchester United. I don't care if somebody says, I don't want Qatar because I don't like their human rights issues, but I just say to them, well, why are you bringing that into football? There's lots of things that go on in football, but, you know, we just had a World Cup in Qatar, you know. So you'll take Sir Jim because of some human rights issues. That's more important to you than Manchester United, which is a football club at the end of the day. But that's, you know, you've got to respect that. Big and serious Swedish media says that the sale is over and it is Qatar and it will be announced soon, says Joseph. Seeing reports online that PSG don't want to sell MBAPPE to Madrid and will charge a higher price if they want him. Could United do this deal under Sir Sheikh Jassim? Says FIFA Crazy. We are going to be talking about that in a minute. Average Joe 001 says prices up and good volume of trades. Always said this A and B was going to be complicated. Finally, they admit it. Can lean to legal problems with high interest rate. Who borrows billions is Average Joe. Spot on. Absolutely spot on. There are people who think Fred and Maguire are good players and we only need Kane to win the league. No shit, they want Sir Jim. Not everyone is a genius, says Shahin. And hi Mark, just joined in. Is it true that Kim Min-jae is confirmed and will join in July the 1st for 9 million a year, says Mehdi. Mehdi, you need to watch the afternoon video because I spoke about Kim Min-jae on that, and I don't want to start going back because it's not fair on the people who did watch this afternoon's video. But there is a report from Italy that has happened. Just a little bit of an extra, because we were talking about Faisal Islam, who is the chief economics guy for the BBC, and he's basically said tonight almost a sixth of all shares in Manchester United were traded today. 7.7 million of their shares out of 50 million shares were traded on. Share prices have gone up by 13% since yesterday and are currently at $23. Trading is at a considerable discount to a likely deal price. So what does that mean? It means there's been a bloody lot of shares. If Man United have got 50 million shares, 7.7 of them have basically been bought or sold. You know, they've been traded on. So that's a lot of activity around Manchester United. What he means by the discounted trading is at a considerable discount to a likely deal price. I think when a deal's done, it will come in at around $30 a share, maybe a little bit more. So we're still a little bit away. But it's stabilising at $23 a share at the moment. So, you know, we'll have to just wait and see. I think the share price at the moment is actually something worth talking about for a minute. And effectively what that share price does is it basically says that we're close. We're close to a Qatari bid winning, but we're not there yet. If this deal was very, very close and likely to be done, you're probably going to start shooting up $25, $26 very, very quickly. But there's confidence around that. Akshay says, Gary Neville's been shouting about the English Premier League should stop leverage buyouts like the Glazers. It's so evident that Sir Jim is Glazers 2.0. Thank you, Akshay. Welcome to the Members Club, LV. And Abdullah says, the stock traded 8.5 million volume in exchange, and if we consider average trade is 22.5, that's more than 200 million, and that's 5 times average volume trending. This isn't a bookie store, that's professional trading, says Abdullah. Yeah, but Abdullah, some people just don't want to acknowledge it. Mark, do you think the club will be sold this transfer window, and if you do you think we will get the funds into the summer? Ram, I think we'll spend over £200 million this summer. As cowboy as the Sir Jim bid sounds, it's more real world than the Qatar bid. How many people in the world can just cash up front like that, says Nick P. They can. Abu Dhabi can. Saudi Arabia can. It's real, Nick. It's real. You're right. Sir Jim's deal is a mess because, you know, it's probably quite realistic to what people do, but Qatar have got the money. Thank you for the even-handed approach, says Robert McCormack. I don't know whether he's joking. Yeah, he must be joking. And if I knew anything else, the fact that the Glazers keep renegotiating with the Qatar tells me it's not a question of if but when they choose them. And if they wanted to Sir Jim, it would be done already, says Alec Miller. And the PGA just sold themselves to the Saudis after being so vocal about them for over a year. So much for their morals, hey? Says Jap. Exactly. Exactly. There is no morals in football. There's no morals in football at all. Speaking facts as always, Mark, says Rain. Thank you very much. Don't tell Robert. But, you know, I go back to Abdullah's point. I'm going to fly in the face of the wind of every journalist that's out there here. And I'm not picking a fight with anybody. That's not what we do. I respect what they do. But every journalist is basically saying there is no news. There's not likely to be any news. And it was a fake story last night that caused a bit of a swell in the stock exchange. And at the moment, there is no indication of what's going to happen. That's the official line. That's the official line. That was the official line when I went live last night. That, to us as a community, that's not new. You know, when I see Sky or BBC or anyone else saying the official line is that nobody knows anything at the moment, that was what we said last night because I knew that from the messages I was getting. But from the conversation I had this afternoon, and we were talking back and forth, I said, and they agreed, that this has not been caused by some fake account last night. This is a lot of trading, and it's a stabilisation at way above what the price has been for the last month. If this was fake, people would be shedding those shares very, very quickly, because if it was fake, you'd still think Sir Jim's got a good chance. So you'd be shedding it down to $18 a share again. It's not. It's holding the same because there's a lot of confidence in the sector, in the business sector, that Qatar is going to win. That's a fact. That's a fact. There is a lot of confidence in the sector that Qatar are going to win. And these are very clever, intelligent business people. And all these people on Twitter who want Jim to win going, well, they've all been mugged off by a fake Twitter account. They're not fucking stupid. They're professional traders who represent multi-millionaires and billionaires. They do their research. They're not saying buy Man United shares. And if they had, they'd be selling them now. If they thought that was a fake Twitter account, which maybe it was, they're not going off just that. They're not going off just that. There's more to this. And what I think is happening is Manchester United, the Rain Group, Qatar, Sir Jim, they're trying to stabilise the market because it's probably coming out a little bit too premature, like the deal's not done yet. But I think we are heading towards Qatar, and I've said that a few times. At the moment, things can change. Mark, do you think something will get announced this week, says Kevin? I think that's a good question from Kevin, and it's always like, how long's a piece of string? You speak to people and they, you look at like Ben Jacobs, Simon Stone, that they're basically saying that there's not any anticipation that anything's going to happen this week. I suspect that a deal like this has to happen on a weekday. I don't think you can get... A lot of people think like Friday night or Sunday afternoon, like what just happened at the weekend. But I don't think you can get that with this, because there can't be a leak that comes out on a Friday night that the deal's been done and then it gets announced on the Monday with official holding up of the shirt. This has to be announced to the stock exchange and it has to be done officially. So I think if it's not done by Friday early evening, it's probably not going to be done till next week. I want it to be done tomorrow. I don't know, but it could just hit like that. I can tell you what happens in a transfer. You can tell me what happens in a transfer, because we've witnessed all sorts of transfers. We've never witnessed a sale like this. You don't know how it gets announced. So I can't really tell you, Kevin. 8 million in volume today so far. That's unbelievable, says Greg. Something is definitely happening. Sorry if you already mentioned it, just arrived. No, Greg, you're just reiterating what a few people have said, and you're absolutely spot on. This is more than a fake fake tweet. If the news was fake last night, the stock should have given up all the gains today, but it's up 15%, says Anki. Exactly. You need to understand the stock exchange and how it works. If that price had been inflated last night because of a fake tweet, the stock exchange wasn't even open. You can trade, but the stock exchange wasn't open, and you don't get as many trades when the stock exchange isn't open. That's why we said at 2:30 today, it'll be very interesting to see what happens. Well, it's never gone below $21, and it's at $23 now. So there's not been any readjustments. There's not been any, okay, we accept it was fake. It stayed the same, and you've got to read the market like that. Disrespecting Chelsea and City, calling us and them oil clubs to wanting our oil, says Chelsea, says Treble 22. Well, I don't really get what your point is, mate. It's like marrying somebody and thinking they're the best thing in the world, and then you realise they're an absolute twat, and divorcing them, isn't it? It just, it's... And then you go and marry someone you thought was an idiot, and they're actually all right. People change their minds. Qatar's investment into the club. Anyway, I would flip that back and say, look, I do think that what Abu Dhabi have done with Man City and what Newcastle are doing with Saudi Arabia and what Chelsea did with Abramovich, ultimately, I'll be completely honest, I'm not a hypocrite, I think it did ruin football. I think that the amount of super wealth in football has ruined it. But it's got to the point now where we've been subjected to super wealth for so many years now. It's as easy as 2 + 2. Like, if you don't have super wealth, you can't win. If you can't beat them, join them. That's what we've got to do. Qatar's investment into the club will also give United fans, including myself, a breath of fresh air after all the years of torture, says Rohan. I have a feeling the stock will rise higher after close today, says Kevin. And Faces, thank you very much for your super chat. Well, I said this morning that I thought that because a deal wasn't imminent and it was just confidence around Qatar, I thought that the stock exchange would drop to about $21. It's actually at 23 at the moment. So I'm with you. I think it will go up again tonight. I don't know how much, but I think it will go up again tonight. Johnny Reeves, thank you. But what I would say about tonight is, and I would urge everybody, get some sleep. We're not going to get we're not going to get. You've got to be really careful, because whoever started that last night, when you wind somebody up with a tweet, you always try and go for your sequel. So there'll be a lot of people trying to entrap. Just be very careful when you're on TikTok or Twitter or whatever. Just be very careful about what you start sharing and what you start believing, because it can happen, and it could happen again. But my belief is, from listening and talking to a lot of people, is that we won't be getting any imminent announcement about a deal. I suppose the most interesting thing is why, and I think it still comes down to negotiations. I think they're in negotiations at the moment, and I think that we shall have to wait and see what happened. I had a bad night's sleep, Loza, last night as well. I've played the game, says Eduardo. Thank you very much. Johnny Reeves, thanks for your super chat. Hi Mark, I'm 50-50 on Mbappe, says Daniel. Okay, let's talk about Kylian Mbappe for a moment, because we can go back and forth, and there is a bit of transfer news. So PSG are furious, absolutely furious with Mbappe, because apparently he's gone against what they would have expected, and he has basically made everybody aware that he can leave for free in a year, which was not part of their agreement. So PSG are very angry with Kylian Mbappe at the moment, and they need to sell him, otherwise they'll get no money for him when he walks away in a year's time. He wants to go to Real Madrid. A story came out, I think, from the Telegraph about half an hour ago, saying that Arsenal, Man City and Liverpool have distanced themselves from any deal with Kylian Mbappe. Manchester United can't distance themselves anyway, because they don't know who their owner is going to be. I think Kylian Mbappe probably goes to Real Madrid. PSG aren't very happy with him. They would sell him to anybody apart from Real Madrid. But if Mbappe wants to go to Real Madrid, he holds all the power. I think it's an interesting one, because even if we did get bought by Al Thani, it looks like Mbappe's fell out with the Qataris and PSG. So does that mean that the Qataris would want him to move to Manchester United? I don't know. I mean, there was a story, El Paz were coming out with a story that Mbappe is interested in coming to Manchester United, but they're the ones who said we're going to spend 500 million a couple of weeks ago. So look, I think with Mbappe, you've just got to say high chance that he's going to end up at Real Madrid, and that's where he wants to be. Slim chance that he ends up at Manchester United. No chance if we're owned by Sir Jim and the Glazers. Slim chance if we get Al Thani and Qatar relatively soon. Jake says, I'm in the finance and accounting sector, and I can assure you something is happening. A stock doesn't get that volume of trades off a tweet. Thanks, Jake. I mean, we've basically said the same, but it's always nice to get it from people who know what they're on about, because obviously there'll be a lot of viewers who don't really understand markets and that. But there are people out there trying to convince you that Sir Jim's still in the race, which he is, but they're trying to convince you that all the positivity and all the hype around Qatar is because of a fake tweet that everybody fell for last night. If that fake tweet was the sole source of positivity around Qatar, the share price would have gone up and down like a tennis ball. That tennis ball's gone and got stuck in the trees. It's gone and got stuck in the bush. It's not coming down. And the reason it's not coming down is because it's stuck. And it's stuck because something's holding it. And it's not a bush that's holding it. It is confidence around Qatar. A fake hoax tweet might cause a bump in the road on a share price. But that share price has gone up and along. And that's not a fake tweet. That's not how it works. You know why it doesn't work like that as well? Because you could manipulate the whole bloody New York Stock Exchange and every other stock exchange if you can put fake tweets out there. So that's not how it works. There are a lot of trades going on Man United. And you know what? You know what these traders will have done this morning? They'll have woken up and gone, why is that United share price up like that? Is it because of a fake tweet? Yeah, okay, I'm leaving that alone. But in that research, they've obviously realised that actually there's more to this. Let's buy Man United shares. So let's wait and see. Do you remember how we missed the chance to sign Casido for £5 million, says Humish? Hi, Mark. First super chat since I became a member. When is the second part of the show coming out, says Nick. Coming out on the end of the week, mate. Friday. Second part of the Dublin show, yes. I can't believe it was a week ago I was on stage. That feels like 5 minutes ago. I was literally on stage right now a week ago in Dublin. I can't believe that's a week. It's unbelievable. Only Elon Musk can tweet and send a stock to the moon, not a fake account, says Raz. And I think the MBAPPE comes down to what Eric Ten Hag wants the future to look like. Even with wealth and backing, I trust Eric Ten Hag not to star by senselessly, says Tito. Look, as I said before, on Mbappe, before we start talking about the goalkeeper situation, I'm all for Qatar, but I'm very scared for the PSG model, says Nort. Ten Hag wants Mbappe. If not, don't get him. You're right. It has to be down to the manager. But Kylian Mbappe, yes. Like there's absolutely no way I have any reservations about Mbappe. Mbappe's the best player in the world as far as I'm concerned. So, do I want the best player in the world at Manchester United? Yes, I do. Thank you. Yes, I do. Are you concerned about him being a bit of a problem and having a bit of an ego? Well, I'd be a bit disappointed if he didn't. He's one of the world's best players. I would say the best player in the world. Do I want the best player in the world at Manchester United? Let me think about that. Oh, yes, I do. So, yeah, I do. 100%. 100%. I would take Kylian Mbappe at Manchester United. Do I think it will happen? No. But, of course, I would take him. And I find it interesting when people say, oh, he's not the type of player that we want. He's not bloody Neymar. He's not skipping off in March to see his sister. He's Kylian Mbappe. He might have an ego. He might be very arrogant. I think he is. But to me, he's the best player in the world, and he's still under 25. I'm like, baggage, I don't give a shit. Ronaldo had baggage, and I wanted him back. Talk about the goalkeeper, says Kazuki. We're just about to. Michael John and Jordan. Welcome, Michael Jordan. Michael John, his name is, and Jordan. Welcome to the Members Club. Thank you very much. When you come into London, Mark, says Anthony Heath, we will be doing a London show again before the end of the year, definitely. I promised I'll do a London show if That's Football hits 1 million anyway, so it'll be a That's Football show. 100% I'd take Mbappe. So on the goalkeeper situation, I just want to make sure that we get through everything that's happening because there's a lot going on at the moment. The Telegraph are basically saying that Manchester United remain interested in signing David Raya this summer, even though Tottenham are leading the race for the Brentford goalkeeper. I don't think we are in for David Raya. I don't think we're in for David Raya. David Raya is not Costa. Like, don't think they're close. David Raya has weaknesses to his game. He lets a lot of goals in from outside the box, and his distribution has a weakness to it as well. He's got good control, but his distribution's not. He's not Costa. No, he's not. I don't think Man United are in for David Raya. I think he's way too much money, and I don't think United would pay 30-40 million for David Raya when they could go and get Costa for a little bit more. So I don't personally think we're in for David Raya, but that's what they're saying. Also, Sommer. This is coming in from Alex Crook on Talk Sport. Now, the reason I think that there might be some truth in this is because I've said it. I've been on about Sommer for a while now. We tried to get Sommer in January on loan, and he went to Bayern Munich. So Sommer is a player that Ten Hag has looked at. Bayern Munich aren't going to keep him. Why would we not go back? So I think that Sommer is... I think there's probably something in that. And I've been saying to you for a while now that I wouldn't be surprised if we went back for Sommer. So Alex Crook on TalkSport has mentioned Sommer. He also mentioned in the same article that Dean Henderson can't move to Forest because they're waiting to see what David De Gea is going to do. So I think that he's probably quite well versed and on what's happening with the goalkeeper situation. The goalkeeper situation is really difficult. It's become very clear in the last 24 hours that David De Gea is the one who is thinking about that contract. Why is he thinking about the contract? Because he's probably aware of the negativity that resides around him in the media and in the fan base at the moment. And there's a lot of money there in Saudi Arabia, and I think he's just thinking, do I want to just step away? Or do I want to stay here and, fight? Does he need to stay here and fight? Is there anything left to fight for? And I think these are the questions that David De Gea is thinking about at the moment. I obviously want him to stay because I think we've got big issues if he goes, because I don't think we've got the money. If he goes, United need to fine 50 million, because I think if David De Gea goes, you've got to go and get a really good goalkeeper. And it would be interesting if we've got the budget to do that. But the goalkeeper situation is an open book at the moment until David De Gea signs that contract. And he's not part of the Spanish national squad. He's on holiday. He put an Instagram post out recently about thinking and reflection. And I think that's exactly what he's doing. He's taking his time and he's thinking about what he wants to do. I can see Sommer coming to United. I can. I don't know what you think about that. I don't personally think Sommer's as bad as some people think, but I think Sommer's just not a popular choice. And the reason, let me just confirm this without asking the chat. Jan Sommer is 35, is he? 34. He's 34 years of age. And he'll be 35 in December. So ridiculously short term, which I agree. But I wouldn't be surprised. We were looking at him in January. Mark, I'm in the bond markets and current high yield bonds are north of 10%, which would make Sir Jim's annual debt service astronomical. QATAR in, says Anthony. Well, look, thanks, Anthony, for that. We were talking about that at the start. The way that Sir Jim is raising the money to buy Man United is going to be very, very, very expensive to him, because the interest rates on what he's going to do are going to be astronomical, like Anthony says. So, look, this is why there's all this confidence around QATAR. Trust me. Well, don't trust me. Trust yourselves. Manchester United's share price is not up because of a fake tweet. It's up because people feel it's heading towards QATAR. 2-0 up, 10 minutes to go, they've got the ball. That's what we're at. We're not at the final whistle yet, but I think they're winning the game. I've played the game. We've been a big name club for about 10 years as Super Sped, and it hasn't worked. We should be looking to move back to being a young, talented club that scouts properly and buys shrewdly instead of spaffing cash. Don't disagree with you. Anana or Steele from Brighton, says Lillis. Oh, come on. Alfie says, my friend passed away in Nottingham last night. He was a lifelong supporter of United. Alfie, first of all, I hope that is a genuine tweet. I've got no reason to disagree. Absolute tragedy. And unfortunately, I do have to say that, because you do get people who do chats and lie about stuff. But what Alfie is not lying about is that there is a real, horrific incident in the early hours in Nottingham this morning. Central England City. I think 3 people died. And yeah, just shocking, absolutely shocking. It's always shocking when you get these stories in any part of the world. And when we had it in, was it France last week? Young children being stabbed. It's always a possibility, and it's always a tragedy. And, my daughter was asking me about it, and I just said, look, wrong place at the wrong time. You never know what's going to go on, do you? So thoughts and prayers with everybody affected by that. And obviously the friends and families of those who passed. Really, really sad news. Christopher Arnfield says, let's see what the armchair managers say when a new keeper bombs because he can't handle Old Trafford, says Christopher. Look, there's definitely something to that, Christopher, but they're going to have to learn it themselves. And Mark, remember, the most important thing is that we like and subscribe and turn on the notifications, says J. Dot. Well, it is not the most important thing, but we are moving towards, well, we're already in it, aren't we? We're already in a summer transfer window where we've got, I basically want to be talking about transfers. I want to be talking about ins and outs. There's 5 players we need to sell. There's 5 players we need to buy, and it's June the 13th. Before we know it, Ten Hag and his lads are going to be in America, and we're going to be doing watch-alongs at 3 o'clock in the morning. That's going to be here before you know it. So we really should be focused on this story, that story, this story. But we've also got this sale news that just, it needs to stop, It does. I really wish last night it had been deal done, so that today we go, right, QATAR have got the club, it dies down after 24 hours, and we wait and see what's going to happen, and we start cracking on with some transfers. I feel at the moment, this sale thing just keeps going back and back and back. And I was thinking last night, like, what's the next step? Imagine if last night that was genuinely deal done and the share price went north of $30, and today it was announced that Qatar are going to buy Man United. I was thinking about, what it would be like content wise for the community, but also what United would do next. And I think what would happen next is we'd have a period of quiet whilst we knew that Qatar had the club. There'd be all speculation about MBAPPE and Neymar and we're going to buy the world, but ultimately I think it would kickstart United's ability to start buying players, and that's what we need to do. Could the share trading be the Qatars buying the non-Glazer shares, says Martin Pierce? No. Are we still getting 2 strikers, says Darren? We're not doing anything at the moment, Darren. Sarah United, welcome to the Members Club. Thank you very much. 2:30 p.m. tomorrow announcement. Let's manifest it, says Ali. And isn't it a big loss if we don't join the race for getting Maddison? No, Raymond, it's a big win for me. And nightmare scenario is if De Gea leaves and we have no choice but to use Henderson, who I believe is not good enough to be at Luton, says Jack. Hey, I said that this morning, Jack. I said that exact thing this morning. Careful what you wish for, because if De Gea goes and we don't have any money for a goalkeeper, we will have to use Henderson, which to me would just be ridiculous. So careful what you wish for. What I want David De Gea to sign the contract, bring a goalkeeper in that can compete with him, and they work together for the next 2 years, and then De Gea maybe does go to Saudi Arabia. But I don't think we're ready for that transition yet, in my opinion. But, George says he'd prefer Henderson. Which is fine. I don't rate Henderson. I don't think he's got the right attitude to be a Manchester United goalkeeper, and I think that's why Nottingham Forest are trying to buy him. If Dean Henderson's so good, why are Villa or Spurs? Well, no, forget Villa, because they've got Martinez. If Dean Henderson is so good, why aren't Spurs buying him? And Spurs are going to finish 8th next year. Why aren't Spurs buying him? Brighton are even looking at a goalkeeper. They're looking at the Anderlecht goalkeeper. Why are they not buying Dean Henderson? All you ever hear is, oh, Dean Henderson's a really good goalkeeper. He's a good goalkeeper. He'll do a good job at Forest, but he's not a top 8 goalkeeper. And if he was, other clubs would be looking at him. If you're going to replace David De Gea, you got to go and get Costa. You got to go and get Onana. Whatever you think about David De Gea, over the last decade, there has been periods where he's been considered one of the best goalkeepers in the world. That's what you need to go and get. Dean Henderson's not that. He's not. What are your thoughts on Weetabix, says Bryn. I actually do like Weetabix, but I'm a bit weird. I like the milk to be really cold, and I like to splash the milk over the top and get into it while it's just still quite hard but got milk running through it. I am not a fan of putting the milk on Weetabix and waiting a minute or two where it all goes soft. Not a fan of that. Not a fan of that. And another interesting cereal fact, Shreddies. I do like Shreddies. Opposite though with Shreddies. I like to put the milk on the Shreddies and I like it to go a bit soft. Sometimes if I'm impatient, I'll put it in the microwave for a minute. It makes it a bit warm, but it softens it quicker. I wonder what we will be discussing on United Stand this time next year. Let's ponder for a few seconds, says Smoggy. Oh, what a great thought. I mean, look, God willing, we're all still here. Statistically, we won't all be here, which is sad. I don't know why I'm bringing the mood down. But no, it's an interesting point. In a year's time, where will we be? And I'll give you a positive spin on that as well. A year ago, if you'd said to me a year ago that we'd be discussing the Glazers going, I'd have said, yeah, sign me up for that. Although a year ago I did say I think the Glazers are going to go, and that was before Sir Jim. It must have been about July time. I said I think the Glazers are going to go. I think the Glazers are going to go in the next year, and I was right. And the reason I said it was because the stadium's always been the thing for me that made me confident the Glazers were going to go. Nothing to do with protests, nothing to do with the Super League, nothing to do with dividends. The stadium has saved us. If and when the Glazers go, I will be forever indebted to Old Trafford. That is the thing that's destroyed the Glazers. You speak to anybody and they'll say to you, Old Trafford's what's finished them. They could carry on for a few more years taking dividends and bleeding the club dry, but they can't leave Old Trafford how it is any longer. It literally will fall down. They've got to start renovating it or moving, and that's going to cost north of $1.5 billion. They haven't got the money, so they always needed investment, and now probably a sale. We should have signed Super Ben Foster, says Ben. I like Ben Foster, but he ain't ready for the. He's not a Premier League goalkeeper anymore. Let him have fun at Wrexham. We'll all be watching it. Andrew Small says, if we get Qatar and Mbappe in the same week, I'll probably have a heart attack, says Andrew. Look, anything's possible if you've got super wealth. It's not impossible. I mean, I know Man City probably won't do it, but they probably could get Mbappe if they wanted to. No Premier League club wants to sign David, so what's the difference, says Rory. There was a huge difference, Rory, because David De Gea has just won the Golden Glove at Manchester United. He's an established, proven Manchester United goalkeeper. But where you've sort of done yourself in is we're talking about if David De Gea leaves. So what's it got to do with David De Gea if he leaves? We're talking about whether Dean Henderson's good enough to replace him. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. In my opinion. Mark Goldbridge is spitting Weetabix facts, says Big. Well, look, I'm a serial offender now, says Christopher. What's your favourite cereal? Look, I love the community. I feel like I'm a bit drunk, even though I've not had a drink for 2 days. I had, and I'm sure many people can high-five me virtually, I slept for 2.5 hours last night. I wear this wrist thing which monitors my sleep. 2.5 hours, I was in the red zone. Not because I'm a United fan, I wasn't even in amber. 2.5 hours sleep I had last night. I couldn't get to sleep. And nothing to do with the heat, nothing to do with anything else. I just couldn't get to sleep. My mind was too active. I mean, we were streaming till midnight anyway, but I just couldn't sleep. And I think many of us are like that. But it always makes me very grateful for the community that we have, because we have been doing we've been doing this so long. Like, I don't even live in the same house. I've lived in 2 houses since I started doing the United Stand. And I remember moving into the house before this one in the summer, and I used to wear my red United Stand polo shirt, and what became my daughter's room was actually just full of boxes, and I used to put my laptop on a box and then walk around the room sort of doing transfer talk. So it's just amazing how long it's been going on for and how interactive and back and forth it is. And I often want to find the time to go back and watch those videos, because there's ones where I was on the beach, there's ones where I was walking to work along the canal. I really do just want to go back and watch them. How do you find them though? Because the thumbnail doesn't say Goldbridge walking along the canal. You've almost got to go back to a period of time and remember when I was on holiday. I'm going to do that because, 1, for prosperity, and 2, for what were the transfers we were talking about, because we've been doing this every day for about 7 or 8 years. Going from talking about keepers to debating different cereals, that's why the United Stand is brilliant. Can you jinx Haaland and Odegaard versus Scotland, says Jack. Scooby-Doo, I think, I've got no interest in these international games, but you never know with Scotland, they're quite good. What are your thoughts on porridge, Mark? Any extras you like in your porridge? Well, Steve, I will let you into living with Goldbridge. I actually have porridge every morning. Every morning I have porridge, and I always add banana and swirl it up. So there you go. I think Oblak, Anana or Bunu. Your thoughts on all 3 of them, says Kazuki. I think you're talking about Bono, actually. The Moroccan goalkeeper, aren't you? Anana for me every day of the week. Oblak's a good goalkeeper, but he's not really a distributor. Steve Winwood, what are your thoughts on porridge? We've done that. My girlfriend said months ago that we'd get Qatar and Mbappe, and reminded me today that she manifested it. If it happens, I'll be shopping for a ring, says Warrior Beard Gaming. Well, I'll tell you what, if she's right, get her on a show. I'll pay for a ticket and a flight. Mark, what is the percentage of the stock price hitting $30 tonight, says Kevin? 0. We won't hit $30 tonight. 0. No. We won't hit $30 tonight. The dollars, it's stable at $23 tonight. I think it will be around that for the next. It's really interesting to keep an eye on it. I wouldn't be really too concerned if it goes up a little bit. If it goes to $30, that means we're going to have a deal. And I don't think we're quite at that point yet. If I'm being completely honest. My favourite cereal is, and I'm not allowed to eat it anymore, is So I'm going to give you my favourite cereal. You can let me know yours, but my favourite cereal, and then I'm going to talk about Harry Maguire, is Crunchy Nut Cornflakes. But I can't eat them because there used to be an advert for them. One bowl's never enough. You probably can't have that advert anymore because it's fattest. Oh, it just makes people put food in their mouth. I mean, where's common sense gone? You know, just don't have another bowl. But yeah, I like Crunchy Nut Cornflakes, but I don't eat them anymore because I would have 3 bowls of it. So Shreddies probably wins for me now. But yes, Crunchy Nut Cornflakes are fantastic. They're a bit like pizza. They're the devil's food, really. Like pizza. Oh God, you give me a good pizza. It doesn't matter how big it is. If it's got the right toppings on it, I'll devour it, even though I'm full. You know what I do to make myself eat the pizza? I'll go and pour a big glass of Coke. I don't know why it's got to be Coke. I'll eat half the pizza. I'll be stuffed. I'll have a good few swigs of Coke as if it's going to dissolve it all, and then I'll finish it off as well. Pizza's the devil's food. That's what gets you around the waist. I'll try and avoid that as well. Anyway, Harry Maguire. I haven't spoken to you about this. I've had a few Wolves fans getting into my replies on Twitter, having a pop at me saying, oh, you're always horrible to Harry Maguire. It'd be a good signing for us. He would. He would be absolutely perfect for you. I don't think you'll get him because I don't think you can afford 200 grand a week. But I think Harry Maguire at Wolves would do a really good job. I agree. I think it was Ben Jacobs on the show last night was talking about Wolves and Harry Maguire. I think Harry Maguire to Wolves or West Ham or Everton would be a good signing. I don't think he'll do it. I don't think he's got the ambition to go and play first team football in the Premier League. I think he would rather stay at Man United and earn 200 grand a week and risk his Euros spot than go and play for first team football for Wolves. If Maguire wants to go and do it, I respect it. I think he should go and do that, but I don't think he will. He's got nothing to prove. You know, from the interviews we've seen with Maguire, he's got a very, very high opinion of himself, and I don't think he will want to go to Wolves or West Ham or anyone like that. I think he will want to stay at Man United, or he'll try and get a move to somewhere like a Newcastle or a Spurs who probably won't go in for him. So Maguire's going to be a really interesting one because where he ends up is interesting. If I was Maguire, I'd go, look, I've had a really good career. I'm England's all-time defending goal scorer. I will be playing in the Euros, but I need to play first-team football. If I go to Wolves, I'll play every single game. I'll go to the Euros. I'll be 31, and at that point, I should be winding down anyway. So I think it's a big season for Harry, and I think he does need to play first-team football, but he might decide to coast at United. We'll have to wait and see. Hi Mark, hope you're well. How are you coping with the heat? Because it's killing me. Hope you have a good summer and a nice end to the sale, says Kenzie. I'm all right actually. Last summer we were getting like 40 degrees in the UK last summer, which is just ridiculous because we don't have air conditioning or anything like that. But it's around 25, 26, which is hot, but it's fine. Random request, but please, we need United stand predictor outside the UK too. Canada, India, South Africa, please make it happen, says Rishit. Yeah, the predictor was good. I enjoyed that. Hi, Mark. Could you please do the watch-along of those old videos? Question. When did you realise that you are big and have a lot of reach? Says Cheers, says Talal. I don't really ever think I am. I don't think like that. I do this because I enjoy it. I was talking to Faz about this last week. We were talking about, you know, how long we've been doing stuff. And I said, I definitely don't do it for the money because at the start there was no money in it and I had a better paid job, and I don't do it for the fame because how would I even know there would be any fame? It started off in a spare room chatting with a few hundred people, and it's grown into what it is. So I just enjoy it. I enjoy it, and it's completely unique. And I know there's other people out there who do it. There's other websites, there's other mainstream media, but you know, imitators, yes, there are. But I don't think you can imitate what we've done because I don't really know what the formula is. We just do it, don't we? We just do it. And it's been great. It's great. Bedroom blogger, yeah. But it's been great. I think the thing I'm most proud of is the network of information that we get from, you know, from football clubs to agents to journalists to players. It's just amazing how many people reach out and, you know, trust us, and you know we're really good at you know, deciphering information and putting it to you without giving you the source. And I think that has earned us a lot of respect in a space where it's hard to do that. So yeah, I love it. I love it. And it's ours. We built it. I've always said that. I always said that from the first show. It's ours. We built this. Patsy's Pizzeria in New York, wonderful, says Jev. Well, I'd love to reach out. Hi, Mark. Anyway, look, it's 9 o'clock, and absolutely loved it. Been a great show again. Remember, we're live every night at 8 o'clock at UK time, every morning at 10 o'clock, and we're normally doing the 2 o'clock show and a 4 o'clock show. We've done a few of those at the moment, but it probably slowed down a little bit because I think what we need, Daniel Flood, welcome to the Members Club. What we do need is we need some progression on a transfer. We don't need to wait for a sale to do a transfer. Like, Man United really need to step forward on Mason Mount this week, or somebody else. Don't lose sight of the fact, with your obsession about the sale and the share price, which I have, don't lose sight of the fact that we can be doing deals. McAllister's gone to Liverpool. Tillemans has gone to Villa. We can and should be doing deals. And I think we're all getting lost on the sale, and I understand that. But you know, United have this bad habit of just doing one thing at a time. We can and should be doing transfer business, and I don't mind if we wake up tomorrow and Mason Mount's, you know, here we go, and that's what we're talking about for the next couple of days. I don't mind that. The sale will happen when it happens. I want it to happen right now, but it'll happen when it happens. It might not happen for another couple of weeks, but we should be moving on transfers. That's really important. Thanks everyone for watching. You are legends. Make sure you smash a like on the video, and we'll obviously see what happens. But yeah, take care. Legends. Absolutely great show. I'll speak to you all a bit later.